Hi everyone, my name is William Kraus. I'm an attorney focusing on litigation, governmental investigations, and other disputes related to digital assets and blockchain technology. Really excited to be joining you today as part of a regular series of episodes discussing legal issues with the gentlemen of crypto. Today's episode is recorded, but I expect it will transition to a live format in the coming weeks and months. So if you're watching this as it's being released, I'll be available in the comments to introduce myself and chat with you a little bit. And as I get the hang of this, I plan to start doing some live shows as well. So to introduce myself a bit more, I'm a shareholder in the Ann Arbor office of a law firm called Butzel, and I'm the head of the firm's digital asset and blockchain group. Before that, I was a financial litigation attorney for about 10 years in Chicago, working with some of the global law firms there. In addition to working out of the Ann Arbor office of my firm, I'm a double Michigan grad, go blue, and as you'll find, I'm very passionate about crypto and the law. So beyond that, I've represented crypto clients since about 2017. Over the last 5 years, I've had the opportunity to work with crypto exchanges and issuers, retail and institutional investors, developers, and a number of other businesses dealing with the litigation or governmental actions related to crypto. So what does that mean? Well, I assist people with state or federal regulatory inquiries. So think of things like investigations by the CFTC, the SEC, or state attorney general's office, class action lawsuits, and other disputes regarding crypto. I also do a fair amount of work related to the tracing and judicial recovery of stolen digital assets. So what can you expect from me? Well, the gentleman asked me to provide some regular analysis and commentary here regarding legal and regulatory issues regarding crypto. And as you probably know, there's been a whole lot of that recently. And I personally think that you're only going to see more of it as crypto and blockchain adoption continues to increase. So I'll do my best to provide you with my objective take of what's going on based on my training and experience. What I'm not going to be able to do is give you specific legal advice regarding whatever you might be dealing with. I'm also not your lawyer. So don't take anything I say to be legal advice or applicable to your issue, whatever that might be, or me telling you to do or not do something. Finally, I want to be clear that everything I say is my opinion and not necessarily the opinion of my law firm, and nothing I say should be taken as investment advice. So with that out of the way, let's dive into our first discussion. So for my first episode, I want to talk about something that happened a few weeks back, but was extremely important for understanding what's coming down the road in terms of US crypto regulation. So if you've been reading the news or you've been listening to the show about a month ago, you might have already guessed what I'm going to talk about, and that's the President Biden's executive order regarding digital assets. So King covered this a bit back on March 9th. So let me quickly cover the high-level talking points here, and then I'll get into the weeds a bit. So back on March 9th, the president signed the executive order on ensuring responsible development of digital assets. At its core, the order, and I'll probably call this the EO, was a first of its kind whole of government approach to regulating cryptocurrency. Now, the EO set out 6 key priorities. First, consumer investor protection, there's financial stability, illicit finance, US leadership in the global financial system and economic competitiveness, financial inclusion, and responsible innovation. I'm sure these are the key areas that the government has been concerned with for several years. Protecting investors, that makes sense. Protecting the overall financial markets, now that crypto is a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. Addressing the risks crypto poses in terms of crime, illicit activity, national security. Using crypto as a means to expand access to the financial system. And the things I'm going to focus most on US leadership and innovation, because I think that's the most important thing to take away from this. So the EO didn't actually create any new regulation on its own. Rather, it directed numerous federal agencies to study and develop coordinated strategy regarding the regulation of digital assets. In other words, this is largely a symbolic document that just calls for a lot of studies and reports. Well, so why should you care? Well, because it's a pronouncement of US policy going forward. And to that end, let me start with an important excerpt. I'm going to bring up a copy of the actual EO itself. There we go. So hopefully you can see this. This is actually the raw Federal Register copy of the executive order, not the fact sheet or the summary. You see right there the title, Ensuring Responsible Development of Digital Assets. Here's the excerpt that I want to focus on right here, highlighted. So we must reinforce United States leadership in the global financial system and in technological and economic competitiveness, including through the responsible development of payment innovations, digital assets. The US has an interest in ensuring that it remains at the forefront of responsible development and design of digital assets and the technology that underpins new forms of payments and capital flows in the international financial system. particularly in setting standards that promote democratic values, the rule of law, privacy, the protection of consumers, investors, and businesses, interoperability with the digital platforms, legacy architecture, international payment systems. The U.S. derives significant economic and national security benefits from the central role the United States and the United States financial institutions and markets play in the global financial system. Continued United States leadership in the global financial system will sustain United States financial power and promote U.S. economic interests. And you can see here's the rest of the text. It's about, I don't know, 11 pages in total, and sets forth what the various agencies should do. And, within 180 days of the date of this order, the Office of Science and Technology Policy, yada, yada. This actually directs about 24 agencies, about 24 in total, to actually go study and coordinate policy. So it's very, very broad in scope. But let's talk about that excerpt right there. So we can go back and forth on the various nuances of the order. But at its core, I read the EO to unequivocally acknowledge that crypto is here, that needs to be taken seriously, and is very clearly already on the world's political stage. Now, if you've been around crypto for a while, you know what a change this is from just a few years ago. And actually, let's just talk about that for a second. When I got into crypto back in 2017, and some of you in the comments and the gentlemen themselves have been around much longer than I have, but most financial regulators had very little knowledge of crypto. And candidly, most of them didn't really care. Back at that time, most people thought it was just a fad, right? Tulip mania, Beanie Babies, whatever, just kind of a flash in the pan with the bull run that was going on at that time, and it was going to fade away. Well, that's not the case anymore. In fact, back then, I ended up having to learn everything I could about crypto just so I could explain it to the people who were investigating my clients. Now in 2022, the sitting United States president released a comprehensive cryptocurrency policy statement as directing, like I said, about 24 federal agencies to formulate policy that could actually mesh with one another. Now, in short, this is saying that wherever the United States touches crypto, there needs to be policy in place for how to deal with it. And that in itself is a big deal because for the most part, the last few years have been a whole lot of trying to figure out who is even supposed to do what and where the jurisdiction lines for one agency start and stop. So I think it's important to also recognize what's at stake here. Again, I know there are a lot of people out there, maybe some of you are watching right now, who think that any regulation of crypto is a bad thing. The US government should not be expanding its role here. And you're entitled to your opinion if that's how you feel. But when I introduced myself a few minutes ago, I said I would be objective, and I'm going to be objective right now. However you feel about crypto regulation, you need to know that it's already here and more is coming. Now, moreover, you need to understand that as you get that widespread adoption that everyone keeps talking about, the institutional players and governments giving it legal status, the calls for regulation are only going to get louder. Now, at some point, anything that gets big enough and important enough is going to get regulated. And we're getting to that point very, very quickly with crypto. So if we know that regulation is going to happen, then you can take a step back and realize that there's a huge amount at stake regarding who gets to write the rules of the game. And that's what I see in this EO. Let's go back to that quote again. In setting standards that promote democratic values, the rule of law, privacy, the protection of consumers, investors, and businesses, someone put it really well, I think it was TRM Labs, in saying that a quote like that reads like a call to the digital space race. And I think that's right. Democratic values, the rule of law, privacy, kind of reads like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, doesn't it? To me, this order is saying, and this is what is important to America, we're trying to write the rules to reflect that. And whether you support that or not, I think the other takeaway here is that if it's not the US that's taking on this role, and it's not the US that's trying to develop a framework for the whole world to follow, someone else will. And the US knows that it needs to be a part of this if it wants to stay relevant and maintain its leadership in financial markets. The EO recognizes this. Quotes are everywhere. The United States has an interest in ensuring that it remains at the forefront of responsible development and design digital assets. The United States derives significant economic and national security benefits. Continued United States leadership in the global financial system will sustain United States financial power. This is an acknowledgement that if the United States wants to keep its seat at the table, it has to figure out crypto regulation, and it needs to do it in a way that sets the standard for the world. Now, at the same time, I think you can read the EO very clearly to say that the US knows regulation can't mean crushing the crypto industry. So that's right. For all the times that a politician has been beating the drum in the last few years about the danger of crypto, the order is clear that it's critical for a number of reasons. Development and innovation takes place here. And on that note, take a step back and think about what the fact that the document is titled, when every word is precisely chosen, the title of the order was Executive Order on Ensuring Responsible Development of Digital Assets. It wasn't, stemming the risks of cryptocurrency, combating illicit finance, all the things that they could have said instead. And in fact, things that we've seen in past policy pronouncements from the United States in years past that have been very sort of aggressive or negative about crypto and the risks it faced or posed to the United States. This is the complete opposite. The tone here is in development, in innovation, and sort of coherent regulation that makes sense. And I think the title sums it up, right? Responsible development is just another way of saying the regulation that can work alongside innovation. And that's really what the EO is all about, saying the industry, to its agencies, and to the world, the United States wants to lead here. Now, will things change overnight and every Swiss foundation and offshore crypto company moves to the US? No, this is going to take time. Is the regulation going to be perfect right out of the gate? Well, probably not. Because again, the US will be in some ways writing the rule book here as they go. I mean, nobody's really quite figured this out on a national scale before, and certainly not a national scale the size of the US and the US financial markets. As said, US guidelines, regulations, and laws are beautiful in so much they're built to be fine-tuned, improved, and thrown out as needed. Now, setting that all aside, though, the fact that the US wants this responsibility and realizes what's at stake is a very, very big deal. And I think it's pro-crypto. So that's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed my first talk here. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.